2011, I got my first placement. It was issues with the check that I finally got, but in the midst of waiting on the check, and it's not the check's fault because obviously there's other things that I should have been doing, but in the midst of me waiting for the check, I went from having a bedroom in my mom's apartment that I was able to make music in and, try my best to make some kind of money to help with the rent. In the midst of me being there, we lost the apartment. We all had to go our separate ways. I ended up moving in with a friend of mine that lived in San Bernardino. And when I moved in there, my profession was still the same. I had to figure out a way to make my beats make money. And I'll never forget it. That apartment was across the street from a liquor store. And that liquor store, the first placement I ever got, Mac 10 and Glasses Malone, my name is there at the bottom. You probably can barely even see it. I remember going to the liquor store and being so excited to see my name in that magazine under the production credits. I was so excited that I was able to block out just for a second that I couldn't afford that $4.99 magazine, $4.99. I didn't have that to my name. I remember the dude in the liquor store was like, "Man, what you doing with that flip phone and magazine? Like, what are you doing? Like, you getting some nudie pictures or something? Like, what are you taking pictures of?" I was like, "Oh, bro, like, that's my name right here in this magazine." And he looked and he's like, "Really?" Looked at it and he looked at me. I looked all bummy. I had some sweats and maybe like a dingy ass t-shirt or something. I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he's like, "Man, why don't you just buy it?" And before I could say anything, the homie Jinx ended up buying it for me because he had a job at the time and I was still, pursuing his placement. I couldn't afford the CD that my placement was on. These are the things that inevitably push me into the direction of you better find your own independence. You better find a way for you to make something out of what you have, because it is not promised that one, you will be able to maintain long enough to even get to that quote unquote hit record. At this pace, if you're continuing to follow people and run at, you're going to be here for a very long time. And by the time you finally make your way, you'll still be somebody else's employee. Say I grinded out and stacked my placements and made a little bit of money. I still gotta wait on the industry to tell me when I can go get my next placement. I still gotta wait on an artist to tell me when I can get paid. I still gotta wait on an invitation based upon somebody happen to come across my placement work that I did with some. I still gotta go in here and shake hands, and I gotta still wait on somebody else for me to get some money. And it blows my mind that in 2021, with all of these producers that have popped up that are making millions, the producers that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, not only selling beats, but figuring out different streams of revenue to make as a producer through sound design, through all these different avenues that people have now as producers online, it still blows my mind that that kind of mentality out here exists. True, everybody's experience is not the same, but many folks talk about a very similar experience in this. And for people to still at this point in time make it seem like it's all a totem pole, and at the top of the totem pole of being a producer, a successful producer, is getting a placement and making a hit record. Maybe that's at the top for you, and I want to respect that. It ain't at the top for me. What's at the top for me is to be able to get back the one thing that I never can get back. Right? Or keep as much of it as I can that I could not ever get back in the past, which is time. That currency is so important to me. Not just time, but the freedom in which I have during that time. Look up, Nazi. Say cheese.